And we're back with more exciting adventures of the Incredible Hoax. I am Chris.
I am Mark.
What's your name?
Jude.
You're Jude. In today's miscellaneous adventures, we have a cat on the loose in the room, by the way. So if we have to stand up and chase something out of nowhere, you'll know what we're doing. The NFL that you had issues with, have you kept up with it at all? Or with passing interest or what? So you have somewhat of an educated idea of what's happening.
Yeah.
You might not know all the details and like, hey, they did this play on this play, and you would know that stuff.
Yeah. No, but enough to get us, to where we need to be.
Side note, so months ago they had a, see there she goes, get that cat. Man, what are you doing? What's wrong with you, cat? Side note, months ago at Bankston's they had a Tom Landry, pop, Funko Pop. And I was like, okay, cool, Tom Landry. He loves Tom Landry. I'll get it for you.
Yeah.
So I get it, and I'm like, I'll go get it. I'll save this for Christmas. This is like months ago.
Yeah.
And then, like, in the weeks leading up to Christmas, it's like, man, F football, all that bullshit, protests and stuff. Man, I ain't watching it again ever. F them. And I'm like, well, shit, I bought you a gift of Tom Landry Funko Pop. So I was like, well, I'll give it to you anyway. I thought to myself, surely your disapproval wouldn't extend to Landry. He was about as honorable and
that's true
as they come.
I was quite taken with that gift. Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, Landry represented the things we do like about the NFL.
Yes.
I don't think he'd tolerate all this nonsense.
No, and of course he's one of certainly my heroes. So I was he's kind of exempt from all this recent nonsense.
I know what you're saying. So, Cowboys are going to miss the playoffs. They're officially eliminated. They're 8-7 right now.
Yeah, looks like my 8-8 predictions coming true.
So if they pull it together and beat whoever the last team,
Eagles,
who might sit everybody because they've clinched it. So if they sit everybody, they could beat them and go to 9-7.
Maybe.
Titans. Remember, for those catching up with us, we only talk about the Cowboys and Titans. Everybody else can just go pound it. They got their own shows. We don't care about them. The Titans are at 8-7 as well. They're in a 3-game losing streak,
but with an outside chance still to get into the playoffs.
Well, they win, they're in. If they win, they're in. They beat Jacksonville, they're in. They don't have to. They don't need a bunch of other stuff to happen. If you just win, you're in. Now, if they lose, they have things that can help them get in and back into it as well. But as I've listened to the Nashville sports talk shows when I can, and they said conceivably Titans could lose the last 5 games of the season, make the playoffs because they lost 3 already. If they lose to Jacksonville, it would be 4. And if they lose their playoff game, it would be 5. Conceivably, they could lose the last 5 games of the season, claim progress because we made the playoffs. The coaches get an extension because we made the playoffs, and it looked like a success story. Now, they were 8-4 at one point.
Yep.
8-4.
Yep.
And all they had to do is control their own destiny and win the division. They already had the tiebreaker with Jacksonville from beating them earlier in the year.
Right.
All they had to do is take care of business, and they could be the 3rd seed in the playoffs. Now they're struggling to even get in.
Yeah.
So, this show isn't really about predictions for the playoffs. This show is about what we want for next year. So, are you going to watch next year?
Oh, boy, that's the big question. Well, I'll tell you what. If they announce that Roger Goodell has been asked to step down
I think he got an
as
extension.
NFL commish,
I think he got an extension.
that changes things for me big time.
Well, that's not happening because I
That
believe
is
he
the
got an
clean
extension.
slate the NFL needs, is to send that guy packing. So if they're watching, you better heed that, because there's a lot of people that feel like I do, that feel he is front and center of your problem. If he stays around, He better do some serious ass kissing for the next 6 months. Some of the stuff he's pulling is not winning me over, and I'll leave it at that. So
Goodell, you mean?
Goodell, yeah.
Well, I'm no fan of Goodell.
Well, it's like he's doubling down on the things that they're doing wrong, and that's what's ticking me off, and a lot of other people. And each week they keep showing pictures, more and more people, not going to games in these empty stadiums. It's like, well, it's not just me.
Here's my deal.
Get back to what the NFL was our escape, and it was non-political.
Well,
do me that solid, Roger Goodell. Just get it back to it's non-political.
I don't know that could happen with or without him. I don't know if he's gone tomorrow. I don't know if that changes. I don't know that your ESPNs and NBCs.
But it's symbolic, though, because under
I know. I get
watch,
it.
yeah.
Oh, he's terrible. No, I'm 1,000,000% agreeing with you that he's terrible, and I wish he would go. But I don't know realistically. I don't know what it is, but the NBCs and ESPN definitely have a certain social slant they've wanted to take to sports. I think they think by doing that it gives a certain importance to sports, which leads to a certain dignification, leads to ratings, it leads to more of a validity to their reporting, their whatever. I don't know what it is.
Right.
At least they think it's important, so it inflates it. So I don't feel that Fox and CBS do that as much as ESPN and NBC do. Having said that, the social aspect of sports to me is one of the biggest turnoffs. I don't care about players' social agendas,
right?
What they support, what they don't support. I think medical charity stuff is enough. Hey, we support, autism awareness. Okay, cool. I can get behind that. Great.
Sure.
But the other political aspects of it, it's a turnoff for me. And it's all come to a head, and the stands are half empty, the viewership's down. What was this all? The Christmas Day ratings for NBA were through the roof, but yet the NFL ratings were down. Another thing that's hurting the NFL is there isn't this parity that they keep claiming. I talked about this last year. Here we are again. Who's the top seeds in the AFC? Patriots and Steelers. Every year, there's this parity that people claim is there. I ain't seen it yet. It's the same damn teams running the AFC. And in the NFC, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
The only difference is the Packers are down this year.
Right.
That's the only difference. So, I mean...
Yeah, and the Giants finally cratered.
If you're a Titans fan, Browns fan, Cincinnati fan, or whatever, there ain't a whole lot of reason to watch anymore.
Right.
There is. I mean, I don't have. Do you think I have hope as a Titans fan? At this point, do you have hope as a Cowboys fan?
No.
You haven't even been to the. You have not won a play.
Yeah, we haven't won since '96.
Haven't been to the Super Bowl since '96, so
Right.
that's 21 years.
Right.
RJ, my oldest, is 22. When he was a baby, they won the Steelers Super Bowl because I held him as we watched the game.
Yep.
And he has no concept of Cowboys being a winning franchise. That he's a 22-year-old voting working adult.
Yep.
So you have no hope as a Cowboys fan.
No. Yeah. Specifically, the Cowboys. Their recent history, big problem is their evaluations of players is all wrong, and then they sign players. They over-evaluate these players, and they sign them to these large contracts. And you do that enough, that's why then 8-9 years in a row, at the end of the year, Cowboys are always number one in the league for being the highest over the cap. Why is that? Because you have a GM who's so desperate for a win, he just keeps going for it and over-signing mediocre to subpar players.
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't do the draft right. You do that enough, that's why every year you're $25 million, $30 million over the cap. And here we go again. And DeMarcus Lawrence was this guy that he took in the second round. So his first round talent had some bumps in the road, even had at least one round of suspensions. This year he's tearing up. He's doing really great, no question.
Right.
He's in his contract year, and I know Jerry's going to screw that up. There's no way I would give DeMarcus Lawrence. I don't care if he did 20 sacks this year. I would not give that guy a humongous contract because it's a contract year. Mm-hmm. These guys have burned you over and over again. I would sit there and give him a 1-year deal that gave him decent money, maybe $4 million.
Sure.
And said, here's some money. You prove it. Do it again. Mm-hmm. Then we'll talk. That's what he needs to start doing more often. Make these guys don't just do it on a contract year. I need to know that this is for real.
Sure.
And so that's kind of my overall feeling about that franchise the last 8 years. Too much of that going on. Orlando Scandrick, they signed to that huge contract. What did he do? Shortly after he got injured, he's never been the same player since.
Right.
I saw in the Seattle game, he's over there on the sideline injured again. Why is he still around? And he's making a ton of money. He's still under that old contract he signed back in 2011, 2012? Mm-hmm. Huge contract. Get rid of the guy. He's not playing. Bad contract.
Titans, the reason I have reason to not hope is, well, one, we've got our thought to be franchise quarterback is his third year has been terrible. He's having a terrible, more interceptions than touchdowns. Now, part of that is he's beat up. The other part is the offensive coordinator must go. They run some offense, I think, that was old in the 80s. It's gimmicky. It's unusually gimmicky. And then it's vanilla. It's like either we're doing double reverse using a cornerback, or we're running up the middle, pounding it with stubbornness like it's the 1950s.
Yeah.
And it's that offensive coordinator is garbage. He is straight. It's Terry Robisky, who is just utter garbage. His time has passed. He was retired, and they brought him back because Malarkey wanted that old school mentality to the team. And I don't mind the tough, fundamental football.
Yeah.
But good God, that's not who your quarterback is. They should be running the most sophisticated, modern offense out there with Mariota.
That's true. Yeah.
It should be something straight off. It should be at the forefront of football offenses.
And is it too much to ask, too, that hire is fairly important? You want to get that right and get him settled in, because you don't want your franchise quarterback, who's still a young player, to every year have a new offensive coordinator.
Well, that's the reason they have.
Consistency.
That's the reason why they've stuck with Malarkey to begin with. They stuck with Malarkey because they felt they could keep all the terminology and stuff that they had under Wisenhunt. And then they brought in Trubisky to reinforce that, and that's the reason they kept, last year they had a decent offense, so it was like, okay, cool, it worked. This year it's not working. Yeah. Teams, plus the stubbornness with players who are only average. Like DeMarco Murray is having an average year. He's banged up as well.
Right.
But you've got a Heisman winner backup running back. Oh, let's keep giving it to DeMarco. They're talking about he has a third-degree MCL sprain. They're saying, well, we hope he can make it this year. You got
Derrick Henry
behind him.
There.
You should be not even worried about that.
Yeah.
But what do? Good God, I hope DeMarco can play. It's so backwards, the mentality there. So if they don't fire at minimum Robisky, I can handle Malarkey as a head coach. He clock management's okay. It seems like the players respond to him and things like that. But Robisky is Matthews publicly said, I don't want him calling the plays. So it's done. His goose is cooked. Goose is cooked. So if they don't fire Robisky to replace him, then I don't know how I can watch him, because there's no hope. Well,
this December collapse is going to cost somebody a job. and so we'll see how that goes.
But that's not been the Titans' MO, and that's what I'm
right.
afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of. I mean, they that's just not what they've always
But with
done.
John Robinson, I mean, you would think this is going to be I mean, we're used to kind of what the old Titans did. This is kind of a new guy, so I think,
I don't know.
you know, he's going to be a little more like, hey, I was patient, kept some of you guys when I came aboard, but now I've had a chance to evaluate. I can upgrade at offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, wherever.
They got to do something with offensive coordinator. If they kept everybody but Trubisky and just changed the play calling and the offensive concepts, that they'd probably be hell on wheels.
I just would love to see that team get back to having a killer instinct again. Because there's so many games where they were close. The 49ers game, they were close. It was 27-23 they lost by, right? The final score. It's like you're in
No,
it.
that was the Rams game they lost.
That was the Rams game. Okay.
49ers they lost because 49ers drew it back and kicked the last second field goal.
Well, anyway, they had a recent game that was close.
Mm-hmm.
It's games like that where you're close, where you want to have that killer instinct and somebody make that extra play and break the game your way.
The 49er
take
game
command of the game.
The 49er game is a classic example. The Rams one is too. The 49er game, 3rd and 2, field goal puts them ahead. Field goal puts them ahead. 3rd and 2, they run a DeMarco Murray stuffed to the line between the tackles run, and he stuffed to the line. That's kick the field goal. They go up by like a point or 2 points or whatever it is. Leaves like a minute and a half on the clock for Garoppolo. So what does Garoppolo do? Kick a field goal. Let the clock run. Kick a field goal. Walk off. Going home. A winner. You ran DeMarco between the tackles on 3rd and 2. Now, Emmitt Smith in 1993, that's the play you go with. DeMarco Murray, this year, banged up, unproductive, that's what's your play call?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And is it likely that last year was like that one more really good year you got out of DeMarco? I think
it
it's
feels
likely.
that. Well,
maybe not, but
I don't think he'll ever be 1,500 yards again.
Yeah.
But he could be
so.
that guy that contributes. What he did this year was fine if you allow Derrick Henry to be the guy, and Derrick Henry has 1,300 yards.
Yeah.
And DeMarco Murray has 5.
Yeah.
Take that all day.
It just makes you wonder what they must be seeing something about Derrick Henry that, other than they're like, it's a total bottom line. Well, DeMarco's getting paid a whole lot, so we're going to run it.
That hasn't been typically what the Titans do. They usually play what they feel is the best guy. So it's usually not on money. Typically, it's not a money
I hope that's
thing.
not what it is.
I mean, if anything, it was the opposite. When Bud Adams was there, like, he's making a whole lot of money. Put his ass on the bench. Don't get him hurt, bro. I got to, pay him a bunch of money. It was always the opposite.
Yeah.
So, all that being said, we went way longer than I thought we would. There's no hope as an NFL fan. Unless you're a Steelers or a Patriots fan. Year in, year out.
Yeah.
There's no reason to hope.
Yeah. Yeah, you put together, I think last January, a brilliant spreadsheet over the last at least 15 years.
I think it started with 2000.
And
I started with Patriots for Super Bowl.
And you broke down it ended up being like the same 5 to 6 teams routinely were always in the hunt. And some of these franchises we're all aware of, Steelers, the Ravens, Patriots. You just get so frustrated with that. Even Packers, just the same ones over and over and over. So is it really parity, or is it just they wanted certain? They're fine with it as long as I guess the darlings of the NFL, are winning. They don't care, and it seems to be kind of what it is. As long as the money's coming in, they don't care. I mean, you look at Cleveland. Can you imagine? I cannot imagine being a Cleveland Browns fan
I wouldn't be.
and being a franchise that bad for the last 16 years. They have not won a game in over 2 years.
Right.
Right? Or like one game in 2 years. It's like
Yeah,
one
last
game
year
in
they
2
won
years.
one game.
That's just abysmal. They have no hope. And then your owner's telling you, I'm not firing Hugh Jackson no matter what. And you're like, then what's my reason to hope?
I wouldn't spend a dime on the Browns if I was a Browns fan. I mean, I'm looking at the Titans about to go. You know, we control our own destiny. We win, we're in. And I'm sitting here going like, this is pointless. This is a waste of energy and money and effort and time. So the product is failing miserably. It's going down in flames.
Yeah.
Bad. I never thought I'd see the day,
Yeah.
but I really don't know how to fix it.
It does make you think, too, that when they went to 32 teams, you know, I remember when they started to do that, all of a sudden we had, in the late 90s, people remember, all of a sudden games that had field goals, the field goal attempts just like went through the roof. Remember that? Like 98 and 99, it was like a bunch of just games just for like field goals, field goals, field goals. So that's when the Rams came along and just started going ape shit with touchdowns. It was like, wow, and it was just nobody had been that prolific for about 2 years.
Right. Well, speaking of things that we're quickly losing interest with, I do.